Hello, my name is Peter Parfit. Welcome to the new Brit workshop and this workshop notes video. I've got lots of little bits and pieces I want to talk about, and the first is something you may have seen recently. Now, this is the Inventables X-Carve small CNC, and I've made about 6 videos about this already. And it sits in this movable cupboard. There's one problem I've come across. Have a look at this little clip. Right, I thought I'd give you an idea of how the mechanism works. This is the platform in its raised position. You can just see the CNC machine over there on my left. And the idea that would be sitting in here. At the moment I've got just 2 little bits of rope that I can grab hold of. And I can lower the platform and then raise it again, like so. But with the weight of the CNC machine, that process of lifting and then lowering safely is not possible with one person. So you can see when I've got the full weight of the CNC in here, I need some help, and that's why I'm going to use some gas struts so that this platform can be raised up to its operational height. I've not tried anything with gas struts before, so it's going to take me a little while, so please bear with me. Now, you may have seen my recent review of the Dewalt 26204 writer, which I've got in my hand here, and I've got this so I can fit it in the CNC, and I've got the mounting bracket here, and this will just fit down inside like so, and that gets mounted where this current small motor is here. Now, I did see someone on one of the forums say, well, I can't get my Dewalt writer into this. You may just be able to see, and I'll bring it up a little bit closer, I've slipped a little piece of wood in there. I just pushed it in. It's 5mm across, and this little gap here is like makes this mechanism operate like a spring. And then once that's prized open just that little bit with that little piece of wood, the motor goes in and out nicely. And then you just pull this piece of wood out once the motor's in there and put all the nuts and bolts in, and away you go. Well, I was just about to finish this video off when someone sent me a message on YouTube asking me whether this small writer would be suitable for a writer table. I've not looked at that in detail, and I think the problem would be getting the height adjustment working satisfactorily. Unless it went in a writer elevator, I don't think it would be particularly good. However, if you want to get yourself a Dewalt 625, I've had 2 of them in my time, you can easily fix up a height adjuster. And I'll show a photograph now that shows my old homemade writer table, and there's a part on the 625 where there's a threaded element which is used as part of the height adjustment. So I got a nut of the same size thread, which is there, and I made up this gadget, and there was a big washer sitting there, and from underneath the writer table I could turn this knob and adjust the height of the 625. So that would be the writer I'd recommend if you're making a homemade writer table. I've been told by several of my Dutch viewers that if I'm ever in Arnhem, I must visit what is one of the best Dutch woodworking shops. It's Baptist. So I went there, I met Titus and also his father Pierre. And guess what? They even sell Parf Dogs. Now let me just show you this. This is a little gadget which is designed to hold my dust collection hose on my pillar drill. Now it goes over here, just take a look, and there's the circular part of my pillar drill, and this piece has been cut out to match that. And then I planted this piece of wood on top. There's an inset magnet there, one of these new modern ones, very strong. And here I've got an adjustable part at the back, and this is where the hose is held. And it fits on just like that. Now, when you make one of these, it's very important to get this piece of wood fairly broad to bring this magnet across this way as much as possible, because that then makes it more stable and more able to support the weight of a hose. Now that's a great improvement of the way things used to be. Someone sent me a message about the Festool PSC 420 Carvex jigsaw saying that they had difficulties getting the blade out. First thing to do is to remove the battery, and then whatever you do from now on, you're not going to get injured by the saw starting up accidentally. Now, I've got the foot on here. I'm going to remove it by moving this lever like so, and then removing it. And that should then stop the chip deflector here from having any part in inhibiting the removal of the blade. Now, there is a blade removal lever here which you push forwards. Now, I've taken a long time to get this saw into this position, and in this part here there is a flange, and when you move this forward, part of the lever mechanism comes forward to push that flange away, and that releases the blade. But mine is not engaging, and the reason for that is that this plunger is in the down position, and that sometimes happens randomly with a jigsaw like this. And the way to overcome it is to put the battery back on and then run the machine, and if it doesn't stop in the up position the first time, then do it again. And there it is now stopped in the correct position. I'm going to now remove the battery again, and now if I push the blade eject lever forward, the blade drops out. So the two possibilities if you're getting this wrong are that you've forgotten to remove the base plate, and the second is that you need to make sure that the lever to remove the blade engages with the blade mechanism, and if it isn't lined up, run the machine for a bit. I was asked how stable the mobile workbench was if you wanted to do planing. Well, what I've got set up here is just a support underneath for this bit of framing that I'm planing off, and I'm using the bench as a backstop, and you can see you can plane away all day with absolutely no problem at all. Now, I've been asked quite a few times how to make really small cuts safely. And I've got a piece of wood here, and I want to take a piece off here, which is about 8 millimeters across. And this isn't a very big piece of wood. Now, if I take this to my saw, you can see that attempting to cut this would be actually a little bit hairy, and it's certainly nothing that I would ever try, and I hope that you wouldn't either. But there are ways around it. Now, one way might be to use a gadget like this, and you may have seen me demonstrate this in one of my Bessie videos. This is a Bessie toggle clamp, and the way I would set this up is I'd put it approximately in place, and then I clamp this end of the piece of wood to my saw bench surface, and then that allows me then to clamp that bit in place. But the problem with this is that actually this is getting very close to the saw blade, and so I need to look in some cases for other ways of doing it. And if you don't have a Bessie toggle clamp, and you want to make up something yourself, then try this. I've got a pair of pieces of wood here. They're actually pieces of oak, but they needn't be oak necessarily. And I've cut a small rebate in the bottom edge there and there. And what that allows me to do, if I take my piece of wood and put it just about where I want it to go, just here, and I'm going to use this one with that notch sitting on my piece of wood like so, and this one on the other side with the notch sitting on the piece of wood like so. And between the two of them, these two pieces of wood now are resting quite snugly on top of the piece I'm going to cut. Now I'm going to use a clamp on this side and clamp it down really firmly, and I've got another clamp for this side, which I'm going to help with a little block of wood just to give it a bit of reinforcement. And
tighten that really nicely. Right, so my piece of wood now is held very firmly. Right, so I've got my eye protection on and I'm able to keep well away from this. My hands are nowhere near it. If anything takes a hit, it'll be one of these two pieces of wood. And the trick, as always, is to leave the saw down whilst it comes to a stop. Remove it, and then you take your clamps away. And there's the piece of wood that I wanted to cut. Absolutely spot on, perfect. Just want to show you something. It's a feature of this mobile bench I made. And if you've not seen the video, then I'll tell you now that I've made these drawers at the top, and I've got all the components for all the other bits and pieces associated with this pedestal desk in these two top drawers. They've got handles on like this, so it's easy to move them around, and they don't have to reside inside the bench like this. They could be elsewhere in the workshop. So they're all my bits and pieces. That wasn't so very long ago. I demonstrated the Whiteside inlay cutter set, which is what I used to do these little inlays here. And that came from Router Cutter UK. Well, Router Cutter UK saw me doing that chair I made, and you remember the curved backs? Well, I went about it one way, and they've sent me another cutter, which could be used for that exact same task, admittedly with a slightly different jig. And this is the Whiteside Ultimate Pattern Trim bit. It's quite a chunky beast, but it's got spiral pattern both upwards and downwards, and it's got a bearing ring here so that you can follow a pattern exactly. And what I'm going to do now is just to reproduce a couple of chair backs to show you how easy it is with this cutter. Well, I've taken some stock wood and produced these blanks, and these are rough cut to the approximate shape of what the chair backs will be, and they're longer than I need so they can be held in my jig. And here is my jig, and the jig consists of one key section, which is this center section, which the cutter is going to follow. Its ball bearing ring will be along here and then along here. And my piece of wood is mounted on the back. It's held in place with just two screws, one there and one here. That holds that piece of wood in place, and there are little guide blocks here, here, here and here, which keep it in the right position. So that means all of my pieces that I'm going to cut will be consistent. Now my cutter will be going all the way past this wood, and therefore I need a sacrificial piece underneath. And if you've got old pieces of Festool MFT3 top, or pieces which are like that, well, you can set something up as I've done here. These two Parf Dogs at the back are just holding this piece in place on my work surface. The forward two Parf Dogs are used to hold my jig in place, and you can see how this gets set up. So those push down on there. So there it is in place. I can use my router now using that cutter, and it's going to follow the line here in the center and produce perfect chair backs. Well, there we go, that's absolutely perfect. Well, that's the end of this workshop notes video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.